Our next guest, we want to say congratulations to her. Cathy Russ joins us now on the MegaCast. She is the new director for the West Bloomfield Township Public Library. We are so happy to have you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Hi, Ronnie. Hi, Tyler.
Hello.
And you know, I have to say, before the pandemic, the public library is by far one of my favorite places. And as a young girl, I grew up in Tiffin, Ohio, and I remember to this day getting the new library when it opened. Like, going there every Saturday morning and just going through the book section. I could get lost for hours because it's a new world. And the West Bloomfield Public Township Library, I live in Kegel, but you're our library system here, and you go in and they have that back magazine spot with the fireplace and all the magazines, and I was just in library heaven. So welcome to the neighborhood.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
So give us a little bit of your background. We know the previous director retired, and we wish her the best in retirement. And now we have you. It's great to have you here with us.
So, gosh, I'm not embarrassed to admit it, but I've been in libraries for 30 years. So I started when I was 6. And I had the same experience you, Ronnie. When I was a kid, I walked into the Troy Public Library, and I just thought it was the best library I'd ever seen. My family had moved around a lot when I was a kid, so I'd been to a bunch of different libraries, and all the books, and it just blew me away. So fast forward several years, and I was out of college looking for a full-time job, couldn't find one. There was a recession on. I had a degree in communications, just not having any luck. So I got a part-time job at the Troy Public Library in circulation. And that's the department that checks the books in and checks the books out and collects your money for your fines, gives library cards. And I was very shy. And I was very much a person who, if you had a fine on your library card, I would look down and say, you owe, and didn't want to have the confrontation.
Cathy, you had a degree in communications, but you were shy?
Yes.
Okay, that's a discussion another day.
It happens.
Yeah. Well, or just not, let's just say not confrontational. And, to ask somebody for money to pay their fines and I could make a little conversation, but just not sure what I was going to get back. Let's put it that way. So after about 6 months, the library basically cracked me out of that, and I was on my way to being able to talk to anybody about anything. So I worked at a bunch of different places. I became head of circulation at Bloomfield Township Library eventually. My first library director job was at the Centerline Public Library, and that was a great experience because it was a small library and I got to do everything, but that's when I fell in love with being a library director because it was the big picture. And I really liked having the whole rather than just like the slice of the pie. And so that I was at Centerline for 5 years. I then went to Chelsea District Library, and helped build a new library out in Chelsea. I came back to the Troy Public Library, had the opportunity to become director there, and it was very close to my heart because that's where I'd grown up and where I got my first job. And I was there for 13 and a half years. Loved it. Worked on several different millage campaigns, funding issues for the library, some crises. But then the opportunity came up at West Bloomfield Township Library, and I really thought about it because I enjoyed where I was, but there's something really, truly special about West Bloomfield. It's such a fabulous community, great building, great staff, great reputation. And I thought, if I'm going to have one more new challenge in my career, this is the challenge I want to have. So I was very fortunate that they offered me the position. I have been here for almost 3 months, and so far so good, I think.
We're very lucky that you accepted the position, but can I ask you on a personal level, what's it been like for you to start a new job in the middle of a pandemic?
That's a great question. It's been weird. It's been weird to start a new job because I haven't had a new job in almost 14 years. So even going through the interview process, having not had an interview in 14 years, and to do that via Zoom, different, very different.
Right.
And then to start a new job, one of the things that I am missing and I understand it can't be helped at this time, but I really like to know the community where I'm working. I like to know the patrons. I like to know, the movers and the shakers, and just get to know people and get to know my staff too. And one of the things that's been a challenge is, we're all so segregated. Even my administrative team meetings with my department heads, we have them via Zoom. And you can still get to know people, but going through the building when everybody's masked, and I can tell you that in my first month, I probably introduced myself to the same person 4 times, just because, with masks, it's like, have I met you? Do I know you? And there might be a couple people that I hope I've met everybody. I think I've met everybody. But if there's anybody I haven't met, I promise I'll get to you. And if I've introduced myself to you 17 times, apologies.
We all experience that. So you're not alone in that, where you'll even run into people that you do know fairly well. And if they have a mask and glasses on at the same time, and throw a hat on,
it's over.
I'm totally lost. But when we're looking at the library, and I know that you're new to West Bloomfield, but even in your time with Troy during the pandemic, the great thing, the library is back open, but there are restrictions, but also the need for the library and how you've had to shift how you service the community electronically. Can you tell us a little bit about that, just from your perspective in both communities?
Sure. Well, I can tell you one of the things that I really appreciate about West Bloomfield is that it is open to the public, and we're on a grab and go model where you can come in, you can browse, you can use the computers for up to 45 minutes. We ask that you limit your visit to about 45 minutes. There aren't places to sit, the study rooms aren't open, and so forth. But I appreciate that the library is open to the community, because I think if the library can be open, it should be open. People need the computers right now. They need it, if you don't have a computer at home or you need help registering for a vaccine site. Maybe you're not really comfortable with your computer skills. The library is a place where you can go. I think certainly during the first stages of the pandemic, the library was huge because it provided electronic resources. So even if you couldn't come into the building, you weren't cut off from gaining access to books and materials. We have so many streaming services. We have ebooks that you can download. And, I was listening to your interview with Stacy and hearing about books and everything. And, I'm very much a person who, I don't want anyone ever to be without a book. And, that the library can still provide that to people. And, even if you you're not a reader, but you like digital media, streaming movies, streaming music, we have all of that for you. Troy Library is not currently open to the public for different reasons. And that's one thing where Troy Library had to very much increase its expenditures for electronic resources and increase the publicity to let the community know that those resources were available, because they couldn't come in the physical building. And so, and life goes on too, right? I mean, you still have research needs, you still have questions you need answered, whether maybe you're starting a business and you need help with a business plan. Maybe you have a medical condition that you need to do some research on. The library is still here for you. It might be here in a little bit of a different way, but all the services are still there, and we want people to take advantage of them.
Cathy Russ with us here on the MegaCast. She's the director for the West Bloomfield Township Public Library. We are so blessed to have you join our community here in the greater West Bloomfield area. And can you tell us a little bit more about if someone is coming into the library for the first time, do they need to make an appointment? I know that you mentioned there are time limits on the computers, but if they need assistance from a librarian, how do they go about that?
So they can come into the building and just walk in, and we do have staff at all of our public service desks. What I would recommend if it's a first-time visit and the person wants to get a library card is to check out the website, because you can get that library card application process in motion online, and then you can just come in and pick up your card and get down to your business, whatever you need to do, and that part's been handled for you. If you think you might have more of a heavy-duty research need, it's probably not a bad idea to call ahead just to make sure, maybe we can start doing some things for you in advance before you come through the doors and have some things ready for you. I think I learned that in my old age, call in advance and get things going, because then I can just show up and have it, and then too, sometimes I babble, as will probably find. And so when I go to a place, I don't have to tell my story in great detail. I've already inflicted that on someone over the phone, and then I can just come in and do what I need to do and keep on going. So advanced prep is always appreciated, but you can still just come on in and we can help you in whatever way is comfortable for you.
You really are such a vital entity here in our community. Cathy Russ with us here on the MegaCast, and I love that you mentioned about the library card, because I have a confession. I have been using my husband's library card. So when I moved here countless years ago, I still had a North Carolina driver's license, and you needed a local driver's license. So my husband had never had a library card. I'm like, what? And so I got one in his name, and then I've been using it all these years. And he's like, I'm so well read, because I used to drive like to Toledo for work or these other places, and it was a great place to check out audiobooks on tape. Just an amazing service that the West Bloomfield Township Library provides for us. But I will say, I was like, oh my gosh, I should probably finally get one in my name. And I started looking into it, and then I was like, oh, are they open? Can I do that?
Yeah.
But my husband does think he's very well read. He reads a lot of chick books. So if you pull his library card, he's like, people are going to think I'm weird. I'm like, well, it's okay. Hey, Cathy, if people are coming, the one thing I do like, you had the drive-through service before. Mm-hmm. How has that changed, and are you doing any type of curbside as well? So many entities are doing that.
Yep, we have it all. So, because that is, again, one of the things that I so appreciated about this library is that they cover all the bases. If you want to come in and browse, you can come in and browse. If you want to choose your books online, we will pull them for you, and we have curbside pickup service. We also do have the drive-up window, so you can come and drive up, and we'll have your materials there as well. And at the drive-up window, that's where you can return materials in the drop boxes. So, again, whatever way is comfortable for you, hopefully we've got you covered.
And what are the hours right now?
So right now, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., Friday and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Sunday, 12 to 5 p.m.
And have you found such a need right now as more and more students are starting to go back to in-person learning, or did it increase because students needed that additional computer while they were trying to do remote?
So we haven't seen, I'll be honest with you, Ronnie, the traffic in the building is not intense. It's not what it once was. We certainly don't have the volume of users that we had a year ago. The study rooms aren't available right now just because that's where we've got a lot of our furniture stored. Our capacity limit, we're limited by the, not the executive order anymore, but the mandate from the Department of Health and Human Services to 30% capacity. So we did remove a lot of the furniture because we don't want to have the environment encouraging people to stay, because if we did that, then more people would not be able to come in. And what we don't want to have is a situation where there's a line outside forming to get into the building. So we're limited to 30% capacity. And another reason why we're not doing programming right now is, again, with that same order from the Health and Human Services Department, is gatherings are limited, no more than 10 people representing no more than 2 households. So it's just not, usually it's such a busy and vibrant and dynamic place. And we want that again, but we just can't do that now. So we don't want to foster that expectation or to send mixed messages. So no study rooms right now. So unfortunately, students are still, I think, primarily studying at home.
Cathy Russ with us here on the MegaCast. I'm going to share a secret with the public. If you are in line, you want one of the popular books, because there are typically only so many available, like on the big authors that come out. And so there'll be rentals, but then you have to put your name on a waiting list. Well, if you go to the big print section of the library, sometimes you can find those popular titles and those books available and not wait
I
in
love
line.
that you know that secret.
Not too many people watch us, so I feel safe sharing it with people. But that was my big thing. It's like, you love these, and to get on a waiting list for some of these, or to get on a waiting list electronically, could be weeks. So just go to the big print version, and once you hit 40, you need reading glasses anyway. And if it's in big print, you feel normal again. It's a win-win, Cathy.
We tried it. We do our best to keep up with the hold queues. We've got a ratio. So if, a certain number of holds is reached on a title, we'll get another copy. So we try really, some books, James Patterson, he writes a book a week, and it's like, how do you keep up with that? But no, we do our best. But yes, that is definitely the secret. And I love that you have that.
Yeah, I'm a library user. I know these things.
The other thing too that's cool about large print is if you do need your reading glasses, but you get large print, like if you go to the beach or somewhere where you don't want to wear reading glasses and just wear regular sunglasses, you can do it.
It's the secrets that get us through life. Cathy, it's been such a pleasure having you with us here on the MegaCast.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. If I can put in a plug, if anybody wants a really excellent, funny book, funny. The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. It's about a group of 4 senior citizens who solve a murder that occurs on the premises of their retirement community. It's set in England. It's British humor, but it's also just humor. I laughed out loud, truly, on just about every page. It is charming. It is delightful. And as a friend of mine described it, it was like the sun coming out from behind the clouds. So if you're a little bit pandemic or winter, you're done, you've had enough, try this book because it is so funny and really wonderful.
We'll definitely check it out. Thank you so much for being with us. We so appreciate your time.
Thanks so much for having me, letting me talk about the library.